The first episode of Kingtheland was cute. It wasn't overly interesting, dramatic, or riveting, but it was cute. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Imani Does It, the channel where I talk about things I care about. And today we will be discussing the first episode from the K-drama Kingtheland. Now Kingtheland was very highly anticipated. I think it's because the two leads, Junho and Yoona, are K-drama groups that were like massively successful. So Junho was from 2PM, Yoona was from Girls' Generation. Since they have been in their respective K-pop groups, they've gone on to star in a myriad of movies and TV shows, and they've built up their own reputation as actors in their own right. But now they're coming together to star in the light-hearted rom-com called Kingtheland. So what is Kingtheland about? All right, I'm just gonna read the Wikipedia page. Kingtheland tells the story of Guwon, which is Lee Junho, who is the heir of the King Group, a luxury hotel conglomerate, who was thrown into an inheritance war, and Sarang, which is Yoona, a hotelier, who always has a smile on her face till she meets Guwon. So it's a enemies to lovers romance. Guwon is basically Paris Hilton finding his love. This is Paris Hilton. Okay. As I said before, the drama is cute. I think there's moments where the drama definitely has something to say, especially when we're discussing the work culture in Korea or the service industry in general. I think episode 1 to me is the episode of promises. There seems to be a lot of promise here, a lot of intrigue, a lot of mystery that needs to be solved. So without further ado, let's get started with episode 1 of Kingtheland. So we open with a very telling scene of our two protagonists. It basically shows a lot about who they are. So the first person that we meet is Sarang. Just a disclaimer as well, I am hoping that I'm pronouncing these names correctly, but I'm probably not, and I'm butchering them. That is on me. That has nothing to do with their names. They're not hard to pronounce. I'm just ignorant. I'm thinking of giving everyone a nickname just so I don't annoy you all with how I'm pronouncing these names. We'll see once we get there. Yeah, so we meet Sarang, and she's waiting to interview at the King Hotel for a summer internship position. And you can see that everyone around her is filled with nervous energy. They're a little agitated, a little nervous, but she's very self-assured. She comes off very self-assured and very confident. As they call her name, she ends up breaking her shoe, one of her shoes, her heels. And so she basically has one heel and one flat. Despite that, she hobbles into the interview room. She introduces herself and she seems very confident. Now the interviewer is actually the managing director of the King Group. Her name is Go Hwa Ran, and she's actually the sister of Go Won, our protagonist. I'm gonna call her evil stepsister because she's real evil. So the evil sister sees that Sarang knows how to play the piano, and so she asks her to play the piano, but there's not a piano in the room. Child, why they got her out here looking like this? They know they're wrong for this, having her fake play a piano. After her interview, she basically laments with her house friends because to her, she seemingly failed the interview, and she doubts that she was even seriously in the running for the interview because the hotel requires their interns to have a full college degree, and she only has a 2-year college degree. What we learn is that she's someone who is very self-assured, she's very quick-witted, she's very ambitious, she has a dream of working at a hotel, and she's willing to do anything to get there. Our first introduction to Guwon is real cool, right? He like parachutes out of a building. He just looks real put together, real handsome. He looks like someone who's about to take over a company, okay? Only to realize he parachuted onto the wrong building, and because he did that, he's now essentially late to work. So that tells you he's not Mr. Perfect. Sometimes some up here don't always click. Okay. But he does get to his job, his first day as a summer intern, because Guwon's father is the CEO of the King Hotel, so he doesn't have to do an interview. He automatically gets a spot at the corporate level, right? In his internship and introductions, he immediately stands out because A, he's dressed up in a super fancy suit, more fancy than the managers and the senior managers. 2, he doesn't seem overly excited to be there or overly excited to get the job done or the tasks that are given to them. And 3, he just comes off as very ignorant because he has a "I'm the king of the castle, I could care less about where I am, I have no desire to do work" kind of attitude. Now, one of the interns, his name is Sanshi, sees his attitude as cluelessness. So he goes out of his way to talk to him, and he tries to like bring him under the wing and try to mentor him into being a better intern. No one knows that Guwon is the son of the CEO. They think he's just a random intern. The pair of them end up getting in trouble when they're given a task to copy a whole bunch of papers and the copier is broken. The manager essentially tells Sanshik, the intern, to just shake it a little bit and it'll work. Well, he shakes it and the copy ink, and the copy ink goes everywhere. So Sanshik ends up getting in trouble with the department head. Guwon comes to Sanshik's defense because Sanshik didn't do anything. He was just doing what the manager told him. But the department head sees Guwon trying to defend Sanshik as insubordination, and he fires the 2 of them, tells them that they need to clean up and then they need to leave. Guwon said, "That ain't no problem." He calls up his father's secretary to come bring cleaners to come clean it up and to replace the copier. The department head then realizes that Guwon is the CEO's son, and he and the manager try to backtrack. Guwon says, "You don't have to worry about that. You said I'm fired, I'm fired." Before he leaves, he tells Sanshik, "Hey, if you follow me, I'm gonna get you a full-time job." Now, Guwon's father is not happy that his son got fired from his own company on the first day of the internship. So a family meeting is called. And from this scene, you can tell a lot about the family dynamics. So in front of his father, Guwon's sister comes off very nice and accommodating. She tells the father that, "We gave him too much. This was too much pressure on him. I'll talk to him, we'll figure something out." Completely flips the switch when the 2 of them are alone together. She basically gives him a hotel key, tells him that he doesn't need to stay here because he's coming in from out of the country. He's been studying in the UK, so he doesn't actually live in Korea. He's just there for the internship. Tells him that he can stay in a hotel because this is not his real home. This is the chairman's home and her home, and he doesn't belong here. So you get the sense that the 2 of them aren't necessarily buddy-buddy. So we cut back to Sarang, and despite what she thought was a disastrous interview, evil sister obviously saw something in her, and she ends up getting the job as a summer intern. Now, her specific role when she gets there is that she's actually a summer attendant in the gym, which basically means that her job is to wipe down people's butt sweat and replace the cotton balls in the bathroom. Despite these less than glamorous work conditions, she still does her job with a smile on her face, and she still gives her all to the job, because for her, she's always dreamed of working in a hotel. So honestly, she's just happy to be there, and she puts her all into it. Now, one of the things that I really like about this show is the theme of friendship. So not only do we follow Sarang, but we also meet her other friends. So there's Daul. She works as a store attendant in a duty-free shop in the mall, and she has to deal with toxic managers who basically make her run all their personal errands for them. And then we also have Pyonghwa, who works as a flight attendant and also has to deal with a senior flight attendant who's basically on a power trip and makes all the junior flight attendants follow all these crazy rules. So her and her housemates basically bond over their similar hard working environments, being in the service industry. All vow that when they become seniors or managers, that they try to make the work environment less toxic for the people who are below them. So at this point, Sarang is working at the hotel. Guwon is also living at the hotel. And so they end up meeting at the gym due to a misunderstanding. So Guwon is wearing like a 3-of-a-kind shirt. There's only 3 in all of Korea. And the one other person who has the other pair is also working out in the gym. Now this is important because the other guy who's wearing this tiger shirt is a creep. This creep, he's been making noises all up in the gym, grunting, all of that. And he's also been checking out Sarang while he's in the gym. He decides to leave Sarang a tip. Now this tip is just his hotel key room, and he leaves a note basically asking to have a hot night together. Obviously, Sarang is offended, and she only knows that the person who gave her that tip is a guy that has a tiger on his shirt. She goes out, looks for a guy with a tiger on his shirt, and sees him, except it's not the creepy guy, it's Guwon. Now, Miss Ma'am, she stands up for herself. So she walks over there. She says, excuse me, but he has on his earphones and he's ignoring her. So she turns up his treadmill all the way until he basically busts his ass in the gym, which one thing humiliates him. She then cusses him out, throws him the tip, and then storms off. Now, obviously, Gu-wan is confused. He doesn't know what's going on, and he's annoyed, and he's like, well, that lady is crazy. But that's the first time that the two of them meet. Later that day, evil sister stops by the gym. She sees Sarang. She's like asking her experience, how she's been feeling so far as she's working at the hotel. She then starts to quiz her. So she's asking, like, what's the check-in protocols? What's happy hour? And Sarang is just firing off the answer. Evil sister is impressed. So she basically promotes her to working in the lobby. At the same time, because he's now had this failed internship and he's had to deal with his meddling evil sister, Gu-wan makes the decision to go back to the UK to finish his studies and to not return back to Korea. So we have Gu-wan leaving for the UK, and then Sarang starting her new job in the hotel lobby. Now, we have a time jump of 7 years. 7 years later, Sarang is still working at the King Hotel. She is now a full-time employee. Not only that, but she was also voted best talent. She is now like a company representative. So like for promo videos and commercials and those things, they feature her. Da-il, her friend who worked in the duty shop, is now a manager of said duty shop. And she's also married and she has a kid. And then Pyung-kya is still working as a flight attendant. We don't really see if there's like we assume she's moved up to the ranks, but it's not as apparent. When we catch back up with Gu-wan, he is still in the UK. He spent the last 7 years finishing his MBA, and he seems to just be living the rich guy life, you know, fast life, fast cars, all that jazz. But one day he gets a random package with a paper in it. And this paper is the life record of a woman called Han Miso. Now, we as an audience don't know at this point who that is, but it's enough of a big deal that he and Sanchik, remember the intern from the first scene, he's now his personal assistant, has been his personal assistant for the past few years. But it's enough for them to return back to Korea. So once he returns, he's having a family dinner. He's having a family dinner with his father and his evil sister, and he tells his dad that he's ready to start working at the hotel. Gu-wan's dad said that he would now start evaluating both him and the evil sister. For Gu-wan's dad, this is a chance to see who will be the successor of the company. Either one of them will be the successor, or he'll pick someone else if he feels like neither of them are up to the challenge. Gu-wan's dad also asked him to come to live at the house, but Gu-wan says that he would be more comfortable if he lived at the hotel. So you get the sense that Gu-wan's dad really wants them to be a happy, lovely, beautiful family, but he's not gonna get that because neither of the siblings get along. And it seems like it's mostly due to Hwa-ran, the evil sister's disdain for Gu-wan. We also learn in this scene that Gu-wan has a different mother. So there's obviously some resentment between the two of them. So it's Gu-wan's first day as head manager, and he realizes that he left his phone in his hotel room on the way to one of his first meetings with his sister. Sanchik says, hey, you're the head manager now. We can just get someone at the hotel to go get your phone. The manager makes Sarang get the phone. Well, Sarang has been dealing with a stomach ache because her ain't shit boyfriend has basically been up to some shenanigans that's causing her a lot of pain. She tries to get out of getting the phone because she really has to go to the bathroom, but the manager makes her go. She ends up just using the bathroom in Gu-wan's suite. Well, at the same time, Gu-wan realizes that in addition to his phone, he also forgot some other important papers that he needed for the meeting. So he goes back up to the hotel room and he basically catches Sarang on the toilet. I guess you could say it's a really shitty ending. So that's where episode 1 ends. As I said in the beginning of the episode's cute. The writers do a really good job of fleshing out the characters enough to where we feel like we're understanding the two protagonists, and they do have a sense of depth to them. I'm especially interested in learning more about Gu-wan and his mother and where that's going to go. He's definitely a guy who has a chip on his shoulder, and you get a sense that he always feels like he has something to prove. So it'll be interesting to see how his story plays out. There also seems to be a lot going on with Sarang and her background as well. Throughout the episode, we get some flashbacks with her mother at the King Hotel. Seems like the King Hotel is a really important place for her. And so it'll be interesting to see how her background fits into place with the events that are going to happen in the series. But that's my recap for episode 1. I'm about a week behind in episodes, so hopefully I can crank out episode 1 through 4, and then the following episodes I'll be able to release as the actual episodes themselves are airing on TV. That's the plan anyways. We'll see if that happens. If you like this recap, please hit a thumbs up and subscribe for episode 2 is coming your way. Thank you.